Greetings, it's Iain from RTO here. Welcome to another, what Simon called it, the Three Musketeers, or the Three
Musketeers, yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah. And once again, I'm joined by Richard again.
Good evening, Iain. Good evening, Simon.
Yes.
Evening, Richard. Evening, Iain.
Good evening. And we're going to follow up with from our 80s number ones, which has done very, very well. It was. Yeah. It's been watched by 600 odd people. So thank you very much.
Millions.
I think all of us are really excited about that. So today we're going to go to the 70s, which is more Richard and I's territory than Simon's.
It is. Yeah. It took me a while to write the list, as you know, but I got there in the end.
So as Richard will go first, Simon will go second, and I will go third. We've just had an argument. Not an argument. Who was going first?
Who's first with shot?
Yes. So Richard is going to kick us off tonight.
Okay. And I promise I will not go after Simon the way I did the last time, because I always find it difficult to remember that there's three people here rather than two. So my 10 are a mixture, as usual, of pop, I suppose a little bit of rock, and a couple of guilty pleasures thrown in for good measure.
You've not put any Wombles in your list, have you, Richard?
I haven't. I should have, actually.
You could have done.
No, I didn't want to repeat myself from yesterday.
No.
So my number 10, and I suppose it could be called a guilty pleasure, but I think it's a brilliant pop song from 1979, and it was a number 14 hit for Dollar and Who Were You With in the Moonlight, which is an absolutely brilliant track. Whenever you're doing your list, play it. It's such a good song. In fact, Trevor Horn went on to produce 4 or 5 tracks for them. But this is catchy as hell, and it's just good, proper pop music from the late 70s. So Who Were You With in the Moonlight? And at the time, Teresa Bizarre, the bleach blonde girl, she had dark hair. And your other guy, whose name escapes me now. Yes, the two of them were in Guys and Dolls. You remember them from the mid-70s? So they were sacked from Guys and Dolls. Guys and Dolls fell apart. Dollar became very successful. So my number 10, Who Were You With in the Moonlight?
It's a bit of a doo-woppy song as well, isn't it? It's got
yeah. Mm-hmm. It's actually got quite a little bit of synth in it as well, especially the start. It's a good song from that time.
Yeah, I remember that very well.
Right. Yes, my list is all 70s number 2s, because I feel the 70s was renowned for great number 2s. So I'll start with that.
I love a great number 2.
So yeah, my number 10 then is just about got in there. 1979 is "Can't Stand Losing You" by The Police.
Oh, brilliant! Absolutely brilliant. From Outlandis to Moore. That was really the first one that got them success, because Roxanne hadn't done so well, nor had So Lonely was actually a single before that, and hadn't charted at all, and then it charted in 1980. But I remember that in the charts when the first time I ever heard The Police. A fantastic track, really good choice.
I think the drumming on that from Stuart Copeland is magnificent.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good choice. Okay, my number 10. We're going back to 1970. Mm-hmm. This was the number 2. And it's the Kinks.
I know what it is.
Right.
Lola.
Lola, of course it is. I just think that is a brilliant song.
It is a good song. I considered it, but I didn't put it in the list.
Did you know that the lyrics of that had to be changed?
Yeah.
From Coca-Cola to Cherry Cola.
Yeah.
And it's a slightly different feel, the single version of the Cherry Cola. I prefer the album Coca-Cola. Not a lot of difference in it, but an absolute classic song. So it's
Yeah, it's a fantastic song. And when I hear that now, all I think of is in Crocodile Dundee when he gets into that bar and goes.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a great song, and it should have got to #1.
It's a good song.
I thought 8 Man was very good as well. That was the follow-up. But...
Yeah, that's a good song.
Right, my number 9, I don't know if you know this or not, but it's a number 12 hit in 1973. And I think it was originally released in the mid-60s. But it featured on an old compilation we had. I think it was 20 Power Hits. And it's a song called I've Been Hurt by Guy Darrell. And if you don't know it, it sort of goes, I've been hurt, hurt, hurt. Yes, I've been hurt.
I know the song. Don't know the name, but I know the song.
I love it. Absolutely love it. As I say, it was on that compilation. And for years, I hadn't heard it because it was an old sort of cassette that we had. And then I think it was actually Martin Parrott bought the single of it and played it a couple of years ago. And I thought, oh my God, I remember that. Love it. So I've played it quite a bit since. I think that should have hit the top spot in 1973. So Guy Darrell and I've Been Hurt.
Right, my number 9 is a squeeze number. But can you guess which one?
It's either Cool for Cats or Up the Junction.
Yeah.
So I'll go Up the
I
Junction.
went for Cool for Cats.
Oh, good stuff. I prefer that as well, actually.
Yeah, I'll go with that one.
More number 1 worthy, I'd say, than
Yeah,
Up the Junction. Although I do like Up the Junction.
yeah.
Great songs.
I remember it being played on the Kenny Everett video show. That's the first time I ever heard it.
Yeah.
Do you remember the Kenny Everett video show, Iain?
Yes.
What year would that have been then? You remember? It was like
That was 1979. So it was.
Yeah.
late 70s, yeah.
Yeah, it's a great song. You know, the Sweeney doing 90. You know, it's all about what we was watching on telly and.
Yeah, it's a little bit male chauvinist if you think about it. Give the dog a bone.
Yeah,
It's not a literal give the dog a bone.
No,
it's still a great song.
it is a great song.
Okay, my number 9 is 1979. It got to #1 in the United States, but only managed number 6 here,
Oh, I have an idea.
and it is by the Knack,
Oh, song.
My Sharona.
Very good song.
It is a very good song. Yeah.
I just love that drum move. Dum 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 dum.
Fantastic. Brilliant.
I mean, the Americans loved it. We didn't love it as much. I loved it.
No, the album's quite good though.
Yeah, I had that on single because it was a black and on it just got the Knack.
Mm.
Yeah.
That album is shown quite a bit on the VC.
It is.
I've never actually heard it.
No, that's a good album.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a good album.
Would My Sharona be by far the best song off it, or is the other ones?
That is the best song. Yeah, that is the best song. But it's a pretty decent album. It stands, holds its ground quite well.
Yeah,
They were quite mod looking as well, weren't they?
yeah.
With haircuts and the suits.
Hmm.
Which actually leads me into my number 8, which is a number 3 hit in 1979 as Eating Rifles by the Jam. I think it's magnificent. That was the song really that brought them huge success in the UK. They always had good singles, sort of top 30, maybe a couple of top 20s thrown in. But with Eating Rifles and that sort of rally call, hello, hooray, cheers in, mate, it's Eating Rifles. It was just so catchy, really, really catchy. And because that was so successful, the next single, Going Underground, went straight in at number 1. And then they were just, the biggest band in the UK in 1980. So the Eating Rifles, number 3 in 1979.
Yeah, that was the song that introduced me to the Jam.
Mm-hmm.
And what I got hooked on was Bruce Foxton's bass.
Oh, brilliant bass player.
It was just what you needed, a little bit of a zing. It's a brilliant, brilliant track.
Yeah.
Right, my number 8. You'll be proud of this one, Richard. ABBA, Chiquitita.
Yay! Good stuff. Number 2, 1979. The first single from their Voulez-Vous album. Yeah. I'm not too sure what kept that off. I have a sneaky feeling it was Art Garfunkel's Bright Eyes that kept that off the top. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah. No, a really good song. I will say it's actually quite a long single because it goes nearly 5 minutes long, but the piano part in that is bouncy as well. Brilliant. Really good choice.
Yeah, I like it when it goes into that. I love it when it changes tempo to go into that piano bit, doesn't it? My granddad used to sing "Take Your Teeth Out." I love that song. I think it's a quirky little song from them. Okay, my number 8 comes from 1979. Got to number 10. It's Two Brothers. And one's got a little moustache like Charlie Chaplin.
All right, Sparks.
It's Sparks and Beat the Clock, which is my favourite song off the number 1 Song in Heaven album, without a doubt.
Yeah. It's really good. It actually featured on Stars on 45 as well. The Beatles one, before the Beatles songs came in. That and what's the one by the Archies?
Sugar.
Yeah. No, really good.
I've got a 12-inch version of it, and the drum sequencing in that is brilliant. And then you get a little message from Peter Cook at the end of it, which is quite funny. Brilliant song from a brilliant album.
Yeah, very, very good.
Very good.
Right, my number 7 is a number 3 hit in 1976 by my favorite all-male black sort of soul group, and it's the Drifters, and There Goes My First Love. And I just think it's brilliant. In fact, Drifters in the 1970s were my favorite sort of era for the band, when Johnny Moore took on really most of the lead vocals. And this one, as I say, a number 3 hit. They were having hits all over the place. American bands that did much better in the UK, but There Goes My First Love, wonderful, wonderful track. It's my number 7.
Yeah, I love that song. It's got a nice swing to it, hasn't it? Nice melody.
Right, my number 7 then is an absolute floor filler. It's You Make Me Feel Like Dancing by Leo Sayer.
Oh, good on you.
Fantastic. I like that one.
Yeah, I love that as well. I really do. I tend to not admit that I do like Leo Sayer singles, but they are really, really good. The majority of them.
It's a bit of a guilty pleasure, isn't it? I suppose.
I think it's because his personality is so bubbly, he almost borders on annoying, but he is very good.
I remember watching him do that on Top of the Pops, and his legs got ants in his pants.
No,
you can't deny it's a brilliant song. You know, gets you in the mood, gets you up off your chair.
Okay, my number 7. Richard will be pleased about this as well. From 1975, number 6. Why didn't this get to number 1? It's another ABBA song. SOS, yeah. It's one of my favourite songs. I think the girls singing in that is wonderful.
Oh, without doubt. And Pete Townsend actually said that that's one of the best pop songs ever written by anybody ever. So it's
so catchy. So catchy.
Can you believe it? I don't have any ABBA on my list.
Really?
Wow. I'm shocked.
No, because I slabber on about ABBA all the time. I thought I'd give it a rest for a while.
I don't mention ABBA so much, so I can get away with it.
Well, SOS is brilliant. And that was actually the single that saved them, because Waterloo was the number 1 hit. And then they had 2 singles that failed to make the top 30. And then the single after that failed to make the top 75. And it looked like, they were one-hit wonders, but they came up with SOS, and that took them into top 10, number 6. And from then on, they just sold millions. So they did. So, an excellent choice. Well, my number 6 is from 1976, and it's a number 2 hit by Candy Staton, and it's Young Hearts Run Free, which is a really good disco number. You probably know if you heard it, Simon, but it's just excellent. It really is. I never had that on any sort of format, and James Griffiths sent me the actual LP, which is not bad, but the title track is by far the best. So, number 6, Young Hearts Run Free by Candy Staton.
Excellent choice. Yeah, I remember that. It's good. It's a proper disco. Very popular when I was in my teens as well at discos.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, my number 6 is Love is a Drug by Roxy Music.
Yep.
Another belter.
It is indeed. From their Siren album.
Yes. I can't believe that didn't get to number 1 though, because but there was so much good music in the top 10 when that was out anyway.
Yeah, it was tough to get that number 1 spot.
It was slightly different for Roxy Music at the time because their previous singles were actually quite heavy, because the previous one was All I Want Was You, and that was very, very guitar heavy. This one's more funky and had a bit of a bass stroke dance riff to it. And then, of course, Grace Jones covered it as well and did a pretty good version of it and charted with it. So, yeah, number 2. And it was their biggest charting single until, I think it was Jealous Guy.
Yeah, it's one of my favourite songs by Roxy Music. It's a classic, isn't it?
It is.
Okay. My number 6, go to 1977. Number 6 hit for 10cc.
Donna?
Things We Do for Love.
No. Good morning, Judge. How are you today? I love that song. And I love the guitar, that ding ding ding, I didn't do it, which is it's just staple 10cc song, that is. And when I saw them do it at Graham was brilliant. I didn't do it.
It's got a real infectious guitar riff to it. It's like quite funky, but very, very catchy.
Yeah, it's one of Rick Fenn's first little guitar licks, apparently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Excellent track.
Well, my number 5 is from 1978. It's by the Electric Light Orchestra, and I decided not to pick Mr. Blue Sky because I always pick Mr. Blue Sky, and I'm going with Sweet Talking Woman, which is probably my second favorite ELO single behind Mr. Blue Sky. That should have been number 1 without a shadow of a doubt. I think that should have actually been the first or second single released off that album, Out of the Blue, and it was actually the third. I still got to number 6. It's just so catchy. There is a slight disco hint to it, but nothing compared to something like Last Train to London or Shine a Little Love. But Sweet Talking Woman for me, definite brilliant song. It should have been number 1 in 78, but number 6.
Yeah, I like that short little harmony bit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the rock around as well. Wonderful. Yeah, and it was sort of paved for the next album, didn't it, that song?
Good, yeah.
Good song. Right, my number 5 then is the Strawbs, Hearts of the Union.
Yeah. I have that when I was 7 years old.
Did you?
And it always jumped on the record player for some reason. It always jumped. Now, whenever I hear it without the jump, it doesn't sound right.
You're so used to hearing it. Yeah. I just feel that should have been number 1. It's maybe a one-hit wonder song, that one.
Yeah, it's just completely different to any of the other stuff because basically the Strawbs are a prog band, and that was almost their novelty song. And I took them into the top 10.
I still love it though.
I love it as well.
Dave Cousins is brilliant. I think he's such an underrated musician.
Mm-hmm.
I've now got the album come off, so it gets played a lot.
It's
one of my most played albums since I brought it.
Right. Good.
Yeah, it's a good album.
Okay, It's my go, isn't it? I lose count.
Yes.
I don't know. Well,
Yeah, my number 5 is it's an ELO song that Richard didn't pick.
Mr. Blue Sky.
Mr. Blue Sky.
Can't argue.
Track.
Yeah. Can't argue.
Wow.
No, you can't argue with that one. It's a cracker.
Yeah, the whole thing, not cut out. The whole symphony at the end is just wonderful. It's a happy song, and that's what I like about it.
It is.
It's absolutely brilliant. One of the best singles ever released.
Mm.
A lot of people say they get fed up with it because everybody talks about it whenever the sun comes out. I love to hear it whenever the sun comes out. It's just brilliant. It makes you feel good as well.
That's one of the best songs of the 70s, I'd say, that one.
Yeah, that's that beginning bit with the boom, 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 boom. That's just wonderful.
It is fantastic.
Yeah, it's a brilliant song.
Well, my number 4 is a number 2 hit from 1976. That's Billy Ocean, Love Really Hurts Without You. I can't help it. I adore that song. I think it's brilliant. He had 2 major hits in the 70s, that and Red Light Spells Danger. And to me, Love Really Hurts Without You is just wonderful.
He sings his heart out on that song, doesn't he?
He does, doesn't he? And
Yeah.
you can't help, if you're playing that in the car, say you've got it on the CD in the car, you can't help but play it at least 2 or 3 times in a row. And you're singing away to it as well while he's singing. Now, if you look at the video, he's wearing a pair of bright, luminous yellow dungarees, which look absolutely stupid, but still, the song is just fantastic. It's my number 4.
Yeah, I can do. It's a great song. Great 70s song that is.
My number 4 then is probably from one of my all-time favourite bands, The Hollies, The Air That I Breathe.
Brilliant choice. I should have had that in here.
It's a classic, isn't it? The introduction into that song is everything about it. It's airy. I love it.
It's an Albert Hammond song, which was released on his debut album, but Albert Hammond's original version is quite a little bit different. The Hollies put their own interpretation on it, and the Hollies version is the best. Now, whenever I saw Albert Hammond play live about 8 years ago, he obviously played The Air That I Breathe, but the arrangement he did was the Hollies arrangement, so he now accepts that the Hollies version is a definitive version of that song. So
yeah, I've had interviews saying that he was proud what they've done to it.
Absolutely brilliant version. Brilliant choice.
Thank you.
Okay, my number 4 is from 1973. Number 3, one of the lower for this band, T-Rex.
Yeah.
It's got the best riff ever.
It does have a fantastic riff.
It's 20th Century Boy. It's just absolutely killer track.
It is.
And how did it not get to number 1?
I know, but I think his fame was starting to wane a little bit by that time. But it's still, put it this way, it charted again in 1991, number 13, and it is probably, in the UK at least, his most famous song. So I'm happy enough with the number 3, because it hung about the charts for quite a while anyway.
Yeah, and Placebo did a version of it, and that charted well as well, didn't it?
David Bowie.
Should have put it in my list.
And Susie and the Banshees did it as well.
Yes, they did. And they did a good version of it as well.
So, yeah, really, really good. Well, my number 3 is Elton John's Rocket Man from 1972. I think it's my favourite Elton John single. It got to number 2, and it was his biggest solo hit until Sacrifice in 1990, I think it was. But he plays it every time. Well, I think he's now retired from live shows, but it got in every concert, and there's a reason for it. It's just absolutely magnificent.
It's an injustice that I'm not making number 1, isn't it?
No, it's an injustice, though. It really is. I put that as a pop classic, and I don't put that many pop down as pop classics, but that one, without a doubt, I would.
Particular.
Yeah, I think one of my favourite versions of that is when he does it live in Melbourne with the symphony orchestra. It's just
1986.
magnificent. They really did that song justice.
Yeah,
Great choice.
Great choice. My number 3, then, you might not like this too much. I've gone with Let It Be the Beatles.
oh, that's a great track. Should have been number 1, without a doubt.
Yeah.
It should have been. I think it should have been.
Without a doubt, it should have been an absolutely fantastic song.
Mm.
I will say, though, that the version on the Let It Be album is better than the single version because of the guitar solo.
Right.
The sort of guitar solo that George did on the album, it just sounds better. But the single version, it sort of dilutes that section of the song a little bit, but still an absolute cracking song.
It is. Yeah.
I've got no problem with that, and I agree with Richard. The album version is better, and it is probably the best song on the album.
Mm. Mm.
Okay, my number 3, 1974. I remember seeing this on Top of the Pops. A certain lead singer was wearing black nail varnish and doing this, and he had this bright furry thing round his neck, and we go, "Oh my God, what's this?" And it's Killer Queen.
All right, I was thinking it was Alvin Stardust. Sorry, I didn't see it.
Killer Queen. A
That's
better
right.
song. Better
Yeah.
song than Bohemian Rhapsody.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. That still is a really good track. And I had the black nail varnish as well. My goodness. That was the first Queen single I ever heard, actually. Because I'll admit I had never heard Seven Seas of Rye until I heard the Greatest Hits album in 1981. And
I had a what relation to it? I think he's my second cousin. He was quite a lot older than me, and he was really into Queen. And we'd go over to my aunties, my great aunties, and then we'd go up to you want to hear this band called Queen, and you just put them. Wow. So yeah, it's just a great song. I love that little bit of guitar. That wow. I just love that. Absolutely brilliant. Great song.
Oh, it's a very good song. So it's me, isn't it? Yeah.
It is.
My number 2 is a number 2 from 1979. That's Oliver's Army by Elvis Costello, which he no longer plays anymore because of some of the lyrics. Well, I think he should just play it because it's that period in time. So odd. And I hate all this woke stuff. But yeah, it's really catchy, and also the piano part of it is lifted really from Dancing Queen by ABBA. It's the same piano, and I remember this and my number 1 choice were on high rotation whenever I was at youth club, and they were my 2 favorite tracks of my whole time at youth club. And Oliver's Army, number 2, 1979, love it, from a brilliant album, Armed Forces.
Yeah, it's a good song. I did consider that one, but it didn't make my list, unfortunately. But yeah, excellent song.
You, Simon?
Right, my number 2. Same again, Richard. Rocket Man, Elton John.
Good stuff. Glad to hear it.
Yeah.
Glad to hear it. Made it both our top 3s as well.
It did, yeah.
So,
yeah.
Well, we've said quite a bit about that, so we'll go on to you now, Ian.
Yeah,
okay, well, I couldn't do it. I thought I'm going to put a quote song on. And I had so many good songs in the 70s that should have been at number 1.
Has to be Caroline. Has to be.
Of course it is. It is Caroline. It's just...
That's their best ever single.
It's just that opening riff.
No, it's fantastic.
Got to have a Kyle on there, haven't you?
Yeah, well, you got to, they had so many top 10 hits in the 70s, but when you think about it, I mean, whatever you want was a close contender, but that takes a lot of to get going. But Caroline, it's straight in, no nonsense, head down,
yeah,
boogie, and it's a terrific track. It just absolutely, and it's a brilliant song to open a gig with.
Yeah, well, this opens the vast majority of their gigs, if not all of them.
Yeah, up until it became an opener, I think, on the Rocking All Over the World tour, and it moved it moved in the mid '80s, but the fans were not happy.
No.
So they put it back, and then they played Caroline, their opening track, until their very last concert. So there you go. So my number 2, Caroline by the Choir.
I should have had that as well. Well, my number 1 is my other youth club favourite from 1979 as well. Number 9 hit, and it's the second time Queen have been mentioned. And it's "Don't Stop Me Now," which I think is their best single. I think it's my heart says that is their best single. My head says it's Bohemian Rhapsody. So if I go by my heart, I'm always going to go for "Don't Stop Me Now." And like Caroline, is one of the best driving songs ever. So it is, and you just pump that volume up. It's absolutely wonderful. I know the lyrics are a bit sleazy, but I never knew that whenever I was 13 years old or whatever age I was. Love it then, love it now. So Queen, "Don't Stop Me Now."
Yeah, I think it's got a great guitar solo from Brian.
Yes.
It's got some pretty cool drumming from Roger. It's just, and it's a brilliant track. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. It's hard to argue with that one. Right, my number 1. And once I thought of this song, I thought straight away, this has got to be the number 1 on my list. And I didn't budge, even after considering all sorts of other songs. It's a wonderful song. "Yesterday Once More" by the Carpenters.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful song.
Top song.
You can't.
La la la, every whoa, whoa, whoa.
It's a wonderful song.
Yeah, I can remember that as a kid too.
Yeah, I admit I'm a huge Carpenters fan. Always have been.
Yeah, so no, great choice. Great choice.
Okay, it's my number 1 now. This has probably got the best guitar solo on it and the best saxophone solo all in one song from one of my favourite singer-songwriters from 1978. It's Jerry Rafferty and Baker Street.
Yeah, it's a good track.
Another one which should have made number 1, didn't it?
Should have, yeah. It should have. And it's that saxophone solo does it as well.
It is. It's absolute. And then that you not contend with that. You get that great guitar solo thrown in as well. It's just every time I put that on the, because I've got the City to City, I crank it up. I'll get the remote and just. It's you have to play that track loud. There's no other way of doing it. It's got the longest intros on the single as well.
It is very long, actually. It's long and meandering a little bit. But then once that the actual full body of the sax comes in, you know you're there.
That's very jazzy, isn't it? Very jazzy.
Yeah. I think that's 3 good number 1 choices from all of us.
There are 3 top choices. There you go.
So my bubbling unders. I had 7. I pulled it down to 6. I saw that I'll do the 7, make it work for your money.
Yeah.
Okay. 1973, a number 2 hit for the Sweet Ballroom Blitz. You know, they only had one with Blockbuster. Hellraiser is my favorite, but I think Ballroom Blitz is the one that really should have got to number 1. Slade, number 2 in 1972 with "Goodbye to Jane," my all-time Slade favorite. Love it, from the Slade album. 1978, number 4 hit for the Bee Gees and "Staying Alive." Don't care what you say, one of the best disco songs ever. Got to number 1 in America. Should have got to number 1 here. Love it. A little bit of a curveball this time, 1975. And the number 6 hit for Judy Collins and "Send In the Clowns." I love that track. Love that track. And Judy Collins her version is the best I've ever heard. So it's a beautiful, beautiful song. Number 2 in 1978 for Blondie and Denis. That's the first time I ever noticed Debbie Harry.
Didn't he?
Fantastic. Yeah.
Good song.
Number 2 in 1970 for T-Rex and Ride a White Swan. And that was their first big hit as well. So,
Yes.
and that was kept off the top by Grandad by Clive Dunn. And then one for Simon here, which I just thought at the very end. Number 2 hit in 1975 for the Carpenters. And Please, Mr. Postman. Which I love that version. I really do. It's better than the Beatles version. And I love
I've never liked the song. I've never liked the song.
Did you not? No?
Doesn't do anything for me.
I like the video.
I love the video that's in Disney World. Absolutely love it. Really do. And Karen looks healthy and happy. But after that, it's deteriorated. So those are my 7 bubbly numbers.
Right, my bubbly numbers. I have Dance Away by Roxy Music.
Great song.
Up on the Junction, Squeeze.
Good song.
Again, Ride a White Swan, T-Rex.
Excellent. Get in there.
Brown Sugar, The Rolling Stones.
Another great track.
Yeah.
Children of the Revolution, T-Rex. Three
Excellent.
Spades, Goodbye to Jane, My Friend Stand, and Far, Far Away.
Oh, yes.
And Loving You by Minnie Riperton.
Oh, that's a little bit of a curveball, like my Judy Collins. Yeah. She died, I think it was about 2 or 3 years after that.
Yeah.
She died
Yeah.
I mean, I could have put more on the list, but 9 is enough.
Okay, I'll quickly go through mine. My first one from 1973, number 6 hit for Thin Lizzy, and it's their version of Whiskey in the Jar.
Fantastic.
Fantastic song.
Yeah.
From 1977, number 6, The Crunch, the Ra Band.
Don't know it.
No,
All right.
Oh, you're that.
I'll know it for her.
I'm not
That one, I've got to know that. I know that like a back of my hand.
Okay, from 1972, number 6, Stay With Me, The Faces.
Oh, that's a good rock song. So that's a very good rock song.
You'll love this one, Richard, from 1972. Only got to number 9. Cat Stevens, Morning Has Broken.
Beautiful.
It's
Absolutely.
a lovely song. Yeah, really nice song.
That supposedly is that'll be my curveball, really, because it's a hymn, and everyone used to sing it at school like Cat Stevens.
Yeah.
Okay, my next one from 1978, Justin Hayward, Forever Autumn.
Great track. Great
And
track.
my last one, again, from 1979, number 9 for Supertramp, Breakfast in America.
Good. Yeah, very good.
Very
What
good.
would you say? What would you say was the best part of the 70s? The early stage or the later stage?
What I will say is that the worst part was the middle stage.
Yeah.
At the very start. From 1971 to 73 was unbelievable. And from 77 to 79 was unbelievable. So those two, I would say, were the two best parts. And I would say from 74 to 76, not brilliant, but okay.
Yeah, I'm agree. I mean, I can, when you remember what was in the charts, we was 7, 6, 7, and we were starting to really get into our music. That I was at that age, and I was listening to Mud, I was listening to T-Rex and Bowie, and
Put it this way, Simon. Put it this way. The UK needed glam rock because what went before glam rock was becoming very turgid, very album orientated, greasy hair, long flares, and and heavy rock solos and all the rest of it. And even that was going forward in the singles charts. Whenever glam rock came, it put the excitement back in. Then in 77, the UK needed punk rock because the mid 70s was sort of mostly disco, really. And a lot of feeling glam artists, so it needed an injection. So those two sections were the best to the 70s.
Yeah.
Once again, that's been excellent. Now, do we dare go any back in time and do any more?
No. No.
We could do a 60s one.
Do you want to do a 60s one?
Yeah, I'd love to.
All right.
This,
Okay.
this is a man who loves the 60s.
Of course.
Yeah.
All right.
I think we'll so next time us three get together, we'll have a bash at the 60s, which will be quite an interesting one.
Or we could do a 50s and 60s, couldn't we? That's just an idea.
Well, if you do, well, put it this way: if we do a 60s one, I will not be doing a 50s one because I won't know enough. Now, if you want to combine them as 50s and 60s, fine. I'm happy enough for that.
I think that makes it a bit broad. So that's what we'll do next. We'll be discussing that in a moment.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, chaps, for joining me on this hour on a Saturday. But you will see it tomorrow. So it'll be out on Sunday. So I think from all three of us, have a happy Christmas.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
It's goodbye for me.
No, it's goodbye from. I can't do this. Them, I think.
Okay, see you all soon. Take care. Happy Christmas.
Merry
Bye-bye.
Christmas.
Bye.
Bye for now.